And the manifestation of Mother Kali came out of the temple. And all of a sudden, I heard something inside. I heard this real high scream. And the manifestation of Mother Kali came out of the temple. And they were trying to give her a lota to drink with a little milk. And it was a mixture of milk and everything. And I heard her say, nay. She pout that lota. Omkar, this is the old style lotas, the thick ones. That thing must have pinged 30 feet. Now, I'm watching, and I ask her, who is this?
Your wife, your Oxy wife. Okay.
A wife at the time. And she said, that's Mother Kali. And Omkar, everything was happening so fast. She told the pundit, I will drink from nobody here. Only my child's hand. And she points towards me. And I'm watching behind me. Like, who's she looking at? Right? Because I've never experienced this back, until then.
Yeah.
And she says, come, my child. And she said, very broken English. She said, in this world, they call you Edik. So, and nobody at the temple knew me, right? So I went up, and my ex-wife at the time said, just don't do no ritual. Just bow, say Sitaram. So I went up, and they said, put my hand out. So I put my hand out. They poured it in my hand, and she drank from my hand. And she said, do not be frightened, my child. She said, a half fortnight ago, which is 1 week, my brother Ganesha blessed you. I brought you here, and I'm going to bless you. And then she asked me, a deity always has to ask you if they want you or if it's your path to do their work. They have to ask you, do you accept? You have to answer whichever way you want to go. But when she asked me, Omkar, when I was standing in front of her for the first time, I wasn't frightened. There was so much love that I felt between me and Mother. And how could I say no? How could I say no? And before I started my penance, and I'll be honest in front of all the viewers, I was in the Army. I used to love my drink, my Jack Daniels and Coke. But after all this happened, if I just taste a drop of it, I get sick. And it did not bother me that they took that. So when you start walking the path and learning and starting to grow within spirituality, you don't miss things. You really don't. And then it came up to where you met my new wife now. Everybody has. They've seen her. She came into my life right when I finished my penance. Look how it works. Then after my penance, 3 more years. And that was more in-depth training. And this was more on the negativity side and how to identify different type of spirits by their frequencies, their energies. And then one day, he told me and my wife, I'm done. I can go now. I said, where are you going to go? You going on a trip? He goes, no, I'm going to leave the earth. Within 6 months, Omar, he died. And then before he died, and this is where it really woke me up, He said, I was your guru in this life, and you were my student. But in our past life, you was my guru, and I was your student. There has to be a divine connection between student and guru. If you don't have that, Omkar, you're not going to receive what you're supposed to receive, no matter how hard you try. You look kind of puzzled.
No, I have a question, which is, well, you didn't recognize that he recognized you, right? So at some
But
point...
he did recognize me at the beginning.
Yeah, so at some point, did you recognize what he was talking about when he saw you? Or?
That was about year 2.
Yeah.
About year 2. The first year, I was still looking at him as my guru and as my elder. So it was like a teacher-student.
Right.
But as you move on with your guru, it goes beyond that. And when you get at a certain level, I'm not saying that you're at the level of a deity. We will never be. We can't even scratch the surface of a deity. But your goal in every lifetime is to be able to say, I am you, you are me, we are one. Now, how many people can actually say that? I've said it, but I said it before with a slight doubt. And do you know why? My guru taught me, never think you know it all. He says, what you know now is a grain of sand in the beach. Do you know how many lifetimes it takes to even try to know all of the knowledge? So when you pick up and you try to go on a journey like this, like my student is right now, it's a big decision. Everything that other people do in life, you may not be able to do what they're doing. So then you find out, Omkar, that who you thought your friends were they? Because when you don't do what they do, they kind of not call you again. And they're looking at you different. You're like an outcast. Or some people think you think you're better than them because you're not doing it. It's not that. I could be around people all day, and if they have their cocktail, it doesn't bother me because I'm not drinking my cocktail. I like my coffee. It's how you live your life. It's your mindset. And the more you get into it, the more you want to learn. Even today, Omkar, if you ask my wife, not every night, but I would say maybe 4 nights a week, she'll see me fall asleep researching a scripture from somewhere and the book's on my chest. It's just an addiction. Why? If we don't teach people and we don't try to tell them what they've been asking for all their life, we're going to lose them in every faith. So that's why he taught me every faith of the major faiths, not because I want people to understand, and this may shock them, but if you research it, in the world today, there are over 4,200 religions. So when you start looking at that, I just started knowing the major ones, right? But they trickle down to all the other ones. Because you got, ancient Africa, which people didn't know. In ancient Africa on the East Coast, it was started by the Muslim merchants. And nobody even knew that. And then you look at who built the first Kaaba for the Muslims. These are shows I would like to do with you and show the ancient history to come into where they're at now.